I think we're good to go. Okay, so this is how I built my quarter-ton deadlift, and that'd be a 250 kilogram. That is a 250 kilogram deadlift, which amounts to, I guess, 550 pounds. That's a goal weight for a lot of people, and a lot of people are trying to get there. And I think I can help them. I think I can help you. So these will be my 5 tips for a quarter-ton deadlift. Number 1, do pendlay row or any sort of a dead stop row. The truth is, this is an immense off-the-floor builder. It is very hard for me to conceive someone being able to pull massive weights, rowing, and then not being able to build upon that severely, through a regular kinetic chain of a, let's say, conventional or even a sumo deadlift. The truth is, the pendlay rows will help you a lot in being able to get tight while wedging yourself in, which coincidentally happens to be what she said. Number 2, use resistance bands, but don't use them, looking at the traditional way, or the West Side Barbell endorsed way of putting them over your barbell. The truth is, you can exclusively use resistance bands for, I guess you can call them mock deadlifts. You can deadlift, if you can deadlift 2 of the heavy bands for 30 repetitions and do so with 20-second pauses, let's say 5 or 6 or 7 times over, you will be in a great position to meet the conditioning needs of any of your deadlifting workouts. At the same time, the metabolic component of it all, which was shown relatively recently by a lot of independent researchers, mostly starting by Brad Schoenfeld, doing high reps with a sufficient load and progressing is more than enough to account for most of your hypertrophy. The truth is, though, that you do contract a lot, especially at the top, and when doing these deadlifts, right? So the setup would be like getting your feet in between the band and grabbing the middle of the band and then doing the deadlift. And it just happens to be what I believe one of the best stimulus to fatigue ratios in exercises, because you're not really lifting all of the weight, but at the same time you have to kind of, the maximum resistance which you encounter at the top is not something that you will feel throughout the movement. Not yet, you kind of have to move in anticipation of that particular resistance, or the level of that resistance, which will entail then you just applying more force, which means that both your muscles will contract, will tense up adequately, and at the same time you will see a significant metabolic component of doing such an exercise. Okay, number 3, use something that I call 30 seconds to 2s. So do sets of 2s with 75 to 80%, with 30 seconds pause in between. That will allow you to get your volume higher than you would otherwise do it, because you have these enormous pauses, intra-set pauses, right, of 30 seconds. It allows you to create the tension from the get-go, or to start tensing up, rather than just allowing on the mechanical tension preserved in your muscles from the repetitive work. It will allow you to lifting, let's say 2 repetitions and 30-second pause, then lifting 2 repetitions. It allows you both to practice good technique and it allows you to get the volume without exhausting the most easily exhausted parts of your kinetic chain, which of course means that they get more volume, more adequate volume, which means that they will stop lagging behind. And this is what I did. I actually used 180 kilograms. I would do 30 reps. I would do 2 reps, and then I would rest 30 seconds. And I try to get, I try to work up to being able to do 15 sets of that. Once I did, my deadlift skyrocketed, and this is probably one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful tip, at least the way I've experienced it. Use one-legged leg presses. Yeah, you heard that right. One-legged leg presses. Doing the leg presses one-leggedly, if that's even the correct way of phrasing it, doing it that way allows you to set your body in a way where you can get the full range of motion. Your stomach will not be in the way, especially if you kind of tilt to the side, and it will teach you how to develop enormous pressing strength from the dead stop. I would definitely advise you to break the kinetic chain at the end of each repetition, not necessarily to go on rails method. You're just going up and down, like you're trying to create the burn. But summoning all the pushing power that you can, and then starting from a dead stop, then allowing the weight or the plate that you're pressing to reset, and doing it that way, building up both in repetitions and in weight. And this happens to be an amazing builder of starting strength. And finally, tip number 5. Use chalk. Your grip will be so much better using chalk, and your hands will hurt less. There's no reason not to do it. A lot of grip is one of the worst problems that you can have in the deadlift, because your grip can camouflage every other problem and can show up as any other problem. You can think that you're weak off the floor, you can think that you got weak back, whereas in fact all you got is a bad grip. And the reason why you think that you're weak off the floor is because you kind of try to shift, to kind of compensate for the immense power or the immense load that you're putting on your forearms and your grip on your palms of your hand, the fingers, by summoning all that power that you need to launch the deadlift up in the air. And think about it this way, like if your grip only had the ability to hold 600 pounds, but your legs could deadlift 1,000 pounds, so everything else was 1,000 pounds, your grip is only fitting for a 600 pound deadlift, you will never be able to get it off the ground, because for you to produce enough force to lift 1,000 pounds in the air, you definitely have to produce at least the 602 or 3 pounds of force, which are more than enough to get your arms open, to get your hands open, and it's not going to be a pretty sight. Training the grip is immensely important, but your grip will also be equally as improved by using chalk, whether liquid or the material one. It doesn't quite matter. I prefer liquid because it kind of gets all the crevices and creases better. Coincidentally, that happens to be something else that she said. But ultimately, using chalk will help your deadlift immensely. It's not even a question. I mean, the benefits from it far outweigh the virtually non-existent consequences. Some people say that their calluses tear more easily. I suppose, but you can kind of control that. You can kind of see what's happening with your hands, and ultimately, if you notice that there's something really wrong with the skin of your palms, you can always stop. But you would be surprised. You can get 20% more. Oftentimes, people are very surprised to learn that they can get 15, 20% more on their deadlifts just by using chalk. Tips. So that would be my tips about improving your deadlift. And I hope it serves you well. It should serve you well. If you got any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment sections. I'll be more than happy to answer them. But these 5, I believe, could in fact do wonders for your deadlift. They certainly have for mine. And the truth is, I kind of shot up in the deadlift. Now I'm kind of plateauing, but I increased my deadlift. It just so happened that I started using 3 or 4 of these things in conjunction, or very quickly one after another, and I beat my previous best by 50 kilos in a matter of months. And the truth is, without these exercises, I don't think that I would be able to do that. And like I said, if you have any more questions, man, just feel free to ask.